So in this video, I wanted to talk about one of the most important ideas that I've come across for creativity. So this painting behind me is one that I'm sort of just finishing, and it's based on the theme, the final theme of it is about the muses, so the creative goddesses of ancient Greece. The title is Polyhymnia and Erato, so the divine sort of poet and the more romantic or earthly kind of poet. And so the idea with this painting, it actually started quite differently, and it's gone through multiple phases, and it's been a drawing, and then it's been transferred as a painting, and then it's finally come to this form, and it never even started with that theme in place. So it's been a whole kind of evolution, and there's been multiple influences on me since starting it. Because of that theme of the muses talking to you and guiding you in your work, I thought I'd talk about an idea that's been, really one of the most profound in my life, in my work as an artist, and that is that a lot of the time the process of creation is not a process of trying harder. It does involve being very focused and trying very hard, but then there's a moment where you need to go quiet and allow the thing to talk to you. And so there's an idea that floats around, which is that you need to allow yourself the time to be bored for something interesting to happen. And while I think that that's sort of directionally right, I don't really think of it as boredom. I think about what's happening in terms of becoming quiet and allowing ideas to come through, whether it's from the unconscious, whatever you want to believe. Whether there are a set of goddesses that are guiding our hands as artists, I don't know, but that's the idea that So basically, you can feel very overwhelmed. You can feel like, I've got to get this done. I've got to finish this work for the next show or for the next competition that I'm trying to enter. And you can feel pressured. And that's exactly the wrong state of mind that's going to actually allow you to discover what the next step is. And so one of the things that I've learned to do is just simply to sit in front of the picture that I'm working on and try to become quiet, drink my coffee, and just look at it. And what I find is that usually I get the next step, the next few things that I should do will sort of come to me, and I can go from there. So basically what I think of then is, when I'm showing up, which really takes the pressure off, I think, okay, my job is to be there with the thing, look at it, take it seriously, and become quiet and let it talk to me. So that kind of process means that it's not really up to me to do much until I get that message through of what I have to execute. So I find that sort of both a liberating thing, but also just like realistically, sometimes people are doing this completely intuitively and they don't even know that they're doing this. But I really believe that is the sort of the general process that's happening in visual art when you're working through ideas like this. So one important sort of reference point for this, which probably has shaped this, I don't know exactly how much it has, but was hearing from one of the models of the great Norwegian painter Odd Nerdrum. So this model of his was saying how it was so interesting being a model, because Odd would he would sit, look at the painting, look at the model, even while the model was there, and he'd look very intently, and he might be there for minutes before he started painting. And then he would paint furiously for a few minutes, and then he'd go back and he'd look again. And hearing that was just so inspiring to me, because here is this master who is doing precisely that kind of process. He doesn't know how to solve things all the time. He is allowing the thing to come to him and discovering it as he goes along. So I found that a very inspiring idea. And so if you're having trouble with this, with solving a painting or working out how to do something, I really recommend you consciously cultivate this idea of just settling down, sitting there, drinking your coffee or your drink of choice, and allowing the next step to come to you. I mean, this could apply to anything you're trying to solve. Could be some process of constructing a house or something. How do I solve this problem? I really think that this is what happens when people are able to problem solve something. There's a process of sitting with the problem, going quiet, but being with it, that allows you to get to the next step. The other idea that I wanted to share talking about this, which I thought that this painting is such a good example of, which might help someone as well, is this painting. It started actually with sketches. I was very fortunate to be invited by Australasian Dance Collective, which is a contemporary ballet company in Brisbane here, to do some sketches from one of their choreographies in rehearsal. And this was actually inspired by choreographer Jack Lister. And so I started off by doing these drawings. There was sort of this particular movement that they were repeating, that we're working through. And I did these drawings of this and gradually evolved them into a sort of a response to that choreography that I was witnessing. And then I thought, this would be a great painting. And I put the figures, sort of the poses, onto this canvas, and I started to work through. And it just wasn't working, and I sort of let it sit there. And it's actually been sitting basically in an unfinished state for multiple years, or at least a few years, that it didn't get worked on. And so what has happened is that over time, my ideas, such as some of these geometric forms and some of these kind of organic forms, the idea of sort of relief sculpture and kind of creating these kind of these forms, and also the ideas of around mythology and that sort of thing, have evolved. And so I've evolved and I've discovered things, and that's actually allowed me to figure out how to do this painting. While that was going on, I was doing lots of other work, but I just think it's interesting that often the key to creativity is actually time. It's actually allowing yourself to process the thing and not to reach for the first solution that you come across. These things, I do find, like, it's nearly a lot of people talk about creativity and flow and these sorts of things. The reality of it is that it's a very sort of stochastic and sort of non-linear process where we go back and forth to things. We just make little discoveries, and in a lot of ways, I find that more exciting than a painting that's executed from beginning to end in one sort of pass. Because, and this is really everything that I've done that I've really felt good about as an artwork, has involved a kind of evolution, and that when I started the thing, the solutions probably weren't even within my grasp, because those ideas weren't ideas that I was even playing with at the time. So, I think that idea, so on the one hand, you have this idea of time, thinking about, the process of giving yourself that time to just be with a particular artwork and solve that artwork, like not solve the artwork, but wait for the next steps to come to you, to sort of emerge out of your subconscious or whatever it actually is. That's one aspect of this, and it's the time. It's sitting and allowing the passage of time, allowing yourself to just be with the thing, not rushing for the next thing, not trying to grasp for a solution, just allowing and then waiting until it just feels, that feels like the next step that I could make that will move this forward. Super, super powerful. The other aspect of how time influences, an artwork, the evolution of an artwork, is this idea that working out what a painting will end up being can take years. It doesn't have to be a process that is executed within a few months. Now, often within the kind of modern gallery system, we feel a kind of pressure to get the next work done for the next show, which is within 6 months or what have you. And I think that can have benefits because it can push you to get things done, to not just kind of wait around and be wishy-washy, but actually, put your money where your mouth is and have a go. That's a really good aspect of it. The negative thing is that is this sense of pressure that we are under to execute and to get the next lot of work. And I really think that as artists, I don't really see much point in doing this work unless you give yourself that gift of time, both to process in the moment, like I'm talking about initially, and also to evolve a piece over time. So for me, what I really like to have is I have dozens of pictures that are unfinished. That doesn't mean that they won't get finished. Most of the time I get back to them eventually, and eventually I can see, you know what, that's actually a way to go forward on this. So I really believe in that as a process. It works, at least for me, as a logic of creation. I don't necessarily look. A drawing can be done within a session, and sometimes that spontaneity is just wonderful. But when I'm thinking about oil paintings particularly, and sculptures as well, things that take multiple sessions, that are evolving and that you can iteratively layer over the top of what you initially did, I think in that case, it really makes sense to me to allow that processing time and to push back on the idea of having to get the next thing done. So hopefully that is something that you can find useful in your own work, and happy painting.